There's nothing there. It's not gonna stop me from driving the car, however. Welcome back to episode 2 of the Bar and Find Miata. In part 1, I showed you guys the barn that I pulled it out from, and we tried to get this car started, and it actually ended up turning over and starting with the gas and battery. In this episode, we have 3 objectives. Objective number 1 is to clean the car out and make it livable. Objective number 2 is to examine the car of all the issues. And objective number 3 is to get the car driving. Now, in order to get the car in the garage to do the work, we have to get the other 2 cars out, so enjoy some cold startups. Now that we pulled the car inside, we got to take the seats out in order to clean the carpets. The first thing I did was pull the floor mats out, and well, let's just say the floor mats really saved the carpet underneath. So the problem I'm having is the driver's side bolts are basically frozen. So I'm gonna bring my breaker bar out and just hope that the bolts don't snap or break. I think the passenger side fared a lot better, but the driver's side has a little hole in it, and I guess just over the last couple years, there's more moisture in that area, and it really took its effect. I think this should do the trick. We're in a little bit of a predicament. So the driver's side floor, as you guys know, is basically all gone. The problem I'm having right now is I got 3 of the bolts out, but one of the bolts is just rusted through. If you come and take a look, you can see right there, this bolt is not only stripped because I messed it up a little bit, but also it's just rusting away. All 3 of the other ones are fine, but this side in particular is pretty bad. Since I couldn't get the driver's seat out, I worked on the passenger seat, and I took the center console out as well because we would be cleaning underneath both of those as well. When I got the passenger seat out, it actually looked better than I thought it would, and it actually looks fairly clean. It would have been nice to see what the whole car looks like, carpet situation, but I just don't think it's worth it at this moment in time. So instead of trying to take that bolt out, I'm simply just going to clean everything around it, clean the passenger side, and clean the seat really well while the seat's still in it, and kind of call it a day there, unfortunately. So the main objective was to make the car livable again, meaning getting a lot of that smell out, getting a lot of the rat just droppings out, and well, I think we've done a pretty good job at that. I actually feel comfortable sitting in the seat again. Looking on the passenger side, it actually turned out pretty good, and driver's side actually turned out decent as well. Thankfully, those mats were in the car, otherwise this would have been 10 times worse. Now I'm gonna use a little bit of shampoo or like the OxyClean spray on the carpet one time to neutralize the smell. I really wish I could have got under the seat to clean everything up, because the main thing is I really wanted to get the smell gone from this car so I can actually feel decent about working around it. Just dropped a lot of this stuff just in it. Oh yeah, the interior looks so much better, and the smell is like actually almost gone. Now everything is still wet. I even just went and did the seat because I want to be able to sit in it comfortably, but it looks so much better. I'm gonna put this seat fully back in with the 2 bolts in the front. That seat has to be cleaned. I'm just gonna leave it out for now because gotta let that all dry. Now comes the worst part of it all, the trunk. Let's just say the smell from the trunk is worse than the entire car. Now I think the trunk might be savable, but it's gonna take a little work. So let's empty this out and look at the damage. The trunk actually isn't half bad. I thought it'd be a little worse than what it is. The rust isn't terrible. I mean, it's probably worse underneath here, but the carpet's savable. The trunk turned out okay. I honestly thought all of this carpet was gonna come out, but it is what it is. Now, we just need to inspect what's wrong with the car. And well, in order to get the car started, actually see what it's saying and whatnot, we need a battery. What I'm gonna do is take the battery out of my other car and just donate it to this one and go pick up a new battery for my other car. Now, before we do anything, the car is drivable as it is. I don't think it's the best idea to go out and drive it right away. I want to test the brakes one time before we do that. Get the car up, take a look at it, switch the tires, and let this car borrow my old daisies from my old car because that has new wheels on it. But if you guys remember from the last episode, the car was a little bit clicky in the motor. So I want to do an oil change on the car because I don't know how long the oil's been sitting. The other thing, using full synthetic oil and using high mileage oil will quiet the motor down and really lubricate everything back up. I don't know what oil's in it, I don't know how much oil's in it, and I don't know how old the oil that's in it is. So let's do an oil change on the car, get a new filter, and put some new wheels and tires on the car, and then we'll take a look at the brakes, and potentially the car will be ready to drive. So what I didn't realize is the previous owner was going to do an oil change on the car, and he has everything I need. Not even kidding, 10W30 oil, full synthetic, high mileage. And this is literally, I just broke the seal, and it still has a cap on it, which is great. And I even have a filter, so I don't have to go on a run and get one, and I get to save that money. Looking under the car, it actually doesn't look terribly rusty. Like, the driver's side floor definitely has a little bit of crust, and this front area is definitely kind of bad, but honestly, it's not all gone. Like, it's almost repairable. At this point in the video, my tool started breaking and the rust in the car definitely did not help to get these bolts loose, so I brought the breaker bar out. I got it, let's go. Get a little oil on the filter and install the filter back, and then we can add oil. Key thing while you're doing an oil change, you need to make sure when you're adding oil to the car that you spill it everywhere. Oh my god, I just spilled all of it. Nice. Well, I got it. Camera will not focus on this, but it has like the perfect amount of oil in it. The coolant's a little gunky, so we might flush the system out. Not a super flush like last time, like we did with my old car, or my other car, but just a single flush to get some new coolant in it. There we go. Still a little bit rough on the startup, but has proper oil pressure. Let it run for a second. The horn doesn't work on this car either. Oh, it's live. Kind of works. So after double checking the oil, it looks like the level is good. Now, the last thing on the list is the brakes. The brakes are a little touchy, and I honestly think just driving the car will open them back up. So I sprayed them down with WD-40 on like the back end, not the actual brakes, but like all the bolts and stuff in case we do have to work on it. So what I'm gonna do right now is attempt to drive the car for the very first time. One last thing we need to do is change the wheels over to my old wheels because I just don't feel comfortable with the tires that it has. Looking at the car is definitely a significant improvement over when we got it, but it still has a long ways to go. There's a couple other issues that we need to address before it can actually hit the roads, and this is the main one. I've got no brakes. There's like little to no feedback. As we can see, the car is left, it seems to be water, but it's not water, and I'd be willing to bet that's brake fluid. Pumping the lines, the brake feel is starting to come back a little bit. Now, she's definitely not street worthy with the brakes being like this, but there's only really one way to find out. There's nothing there. It's not gonna stop me from driving the car, however. It's a little backyard drive, pressing all the way down on the brakes, like I'm stomping on the brakes. And they work a little bit, I suppose. I mean, it kind of works. I think this car doesn't have power steering, and they came optional with power steering, I believe. So this car just doesn't have it, which is interesting. My other car has power steering. Come to a stop. Well, she stops. Does this count as running and driving? I mean, technically it's running and we just drove it. Anyways, I think we need to do a little bit more digging on this brake system and find where the leak in the system is, because I believe one of the lines is probably slashed. But at least we know the car runs and drives. It just doesn't stop all too well. In episode 3, we definitely have a work cut out for us in order to make this car roadworthy. Make sure you subscribe, leave a like on this video, and comment below what we should do to the car in episode 3.